Hey, Internet Land. This is the first video update for the Plastic Weekly Canadian Boulder rankings. I'm going to do one of these every Monday. That's when I update the rankings with new results from the weekend. So it's a good time to talk about why things changed, past results, things like that, and highlight some climbers. This week, I just want to emphasize that I actually went into the back of the system and changed how some of the math works. So compared to last week, these numbers, the way they've changed is mostly because of me going in and fiddling with stuff, not so much because of comp results. I think I made it considerably more accurate by just changing how the system looks at attendance versus results against other strong climbers. So this way it tweaks it, I think, more reasonably towards rewarding climbers who have beaten other strong climbers. This makes total sense, but doesn't emphasize so much just showing up, which we were seeing a lot of results being affected by some people consistently showing up and being really prolific climbers, but not necessarily putting up the numbers. So this is kind of the new keystone, the new benchmark for the results going forward. And each Monday when I put one of these out, the changes on the results will be in regards to last week's results, keeping things nice and steady on the same parameters. So anyway, I wanted to highlight two names this week. They're both in 20th place on my ranks. They're both born in 2002, and that means this is their first year of eligibility as open climbers. They've both been climbing for a while, but they've been forced to be climbing in youth, and now they can compete in open if they choose to. It is Babette from Quebec and Guy McNamee from British Columbia, and I got some pictures right here. That's Babette from Quebec. We'll talk about her in a second. And then this is Guy McNamee from British Columbia. So we'll start with Babette from Quebec. She's competed in 3 competitions this year that are eligible for my ranking system. I should note for both of them, they actually are gold medalists coming out of the Pan American Championships, but that is a youth competition, so those results don't affect these rankings. Before Babette, 3 comps that she's done this year or this season so far. 2 of them, unfortunately, I can't include the results in this because the results haven't been posted in their entirety. So the first one was the Tour de Bloc stop at Seven Bays Bouldering, where she came first. From what I understand, it was a small field, but I don't know the placement for everybody, so I can't include this in the ranks. The second one was at Centre d'Escalade Verticale in Montreal, where again she came first. I would assume it was a bigger field because it was in Montreal, but I have no results for that at all, so I can't include it. That basically means her being in 20th place is entirely reliant on a single result, but it's a good one. It was at the Quebec National Series Open Bouldering event, where she came first place against a strong field. She beat out familiar climbers like Pia Graham, Veronique Goslin, Jordan Scrock, Audrey La Rochelle, Aggie St. Jacques. These are all strong climbers from Quebec and Ontario who are ranked in our top 20, and she in her very first year came first and beat literally everybody else that showed up. So that's a pretty big achievement. Again, she's been climbing for a while, so she's not new to the scene, but it's a kick in the pants to other open climbers when a 15-year-old shows up and does that much damage. So pretty excellent results from Babette so far. And we'll talk about Guy, who's kind of in the same situation. Guy from British Columbia, he's done a couple locals so far this season where he's consistently been on the podium and beating out some other kind of well-known youth transition, like young open climbers like Kyle Murdoch. Who else was in there? Ivan Lowe, Evan Waugh, Kinwa Lai. There's some older climbers now. So he's been putting up consistent podium finishes, which is awesome. But at the British Columbian Open National Series bouldering event, he came third again, only behind Eric Sethna and Jesse Taplin. Jesse Taplin you'll see in the top 20. I'll actually just bring that back up right now. Jesse Taplin, you see him there in 7th for the men. He's been really prolific these last couple months, showing up to pretty well everything, which seems to be a rare thing in British Columbia right now. And then Eric Sethna, of course, the guy who came first at the British Columbian event. He's well known as a strong Canadian climber. He's just been absent over the last year, so he's not in the top 20 because we just don't have enough information on him yet. So anyway, Guy came third in that event, beating out people like Ivan, Aidan Doyle, some older, more familiar names like Robert Stewart Patterson, Gavin Johnson, Scott Evely, those are strong climbers. Some of them have competed in World Cups before. And Guy, in his very first year of Open, taking third place. That's pretty impressive. Something to consider for Guy is that the British Columbian scene hasn't looked super strong this season so far because a couple of their top names just haven't shown up. And I can't really blame them. The two that I would particularly emphasize are JJ Ma and Sean McCall. They've both proven that they're some of the best climbers in Canada, and they're both ranked accordingly. But they haven't been showing up much, and I can understand that, especially on Sean's part. He's an international climber, so it's not common for him to show up at locals or even at these national series events. So we probably won't see him until nationals. But for Kindar, it means he may have had a little bit of an easier way to getting these podiums than somebody might from another province. That said, because those climbers weren't there, it also means the ranks that he's getting are weaker than if those climbers were present. So he's not gaining as much in the ranks as much as he would if those climbers were in the results. For both of them, again, they are youth climbers as well, and I'd love to see both of them at Open Nationals in Mississauga at Up the Block this year. But for a lot of kids this age, when they are in their very first year of eligibility, they'll usually put emphasis on going to Youth Nationals, which is in Quebec City this time around. For Babette, who lives in Quebec, I would hopefully see her come to Ontario for the Open Nationals as well. I think that would be really exciting. But for Guy, who's coming from British Columbia, it is a huge pain in the ass to fly once to Quebec City for Youth Nationals and then a second trip to Ontario a bunch of weeks later to compete at Open Nationals. So I wouldn't expect him necessarily to show up, but I really hope he does because, we could use as much new blood in the Canadian competitive scene as possible. And especially if he's putting up these numbers, he's already proven he can win gold, at least in a youth context. So he's got some experience winning, which is a skill set kind of in its own. So it'd be really cool to see both of them at nationals. I hope they show up. That'd be a lot of fun for me. Anyway, I'm going to put out one of these videos every single Monday. I update the ranks Monday morning, and I'll try and put these videos out for like dinner time-ish Monday evening. So I'll see you guys in the next one. But before that, I'm going to be commentating for the live stream at Blockbuster, which is the big comp in Burlington every year at Climbers Rock. So this Saturday, January 13th, I want you to tune in on YouTube. Just search Climbers Rock or go to youtube.com/ClimbersRockOfficial, and you'll see the live stream starting up at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have a ton of fun. Actually, a lot of the top climbers, I already know people like Bronwyn Karnas, Leah Wachowski, they're registered, probably a couple more I just haven't seen updated. Hopefully we're going to see Lucas Ushida, Nathan Smith, Zach Richardson at this event. So it's a lot of strong Ontario climbers will be there. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about it and making fun of stupid falls and getting excited about strong climbers. So I hope to tune in on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I guess that's 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. I hope I'll see you guys there. If not, I'll see you next Monday for the next rank update.